Hello, welcome to Sideways. This week, we're talking about how we tackle relationships with people who want to be in control of everything. We try to walk the spectrum from fundamentally harmless but infuriating behaviour towards the point at which it becomes frightening, oppressive and abusive. To lighten the mood, though, after such a serious topic, we examine the impact of Brexit on animal sex, discuss the merits of different apple varieties, Martin waxes lyrical about glue, and I get in a bother about Yorkshire puddings. Controlling behaviour.
Good morning.
Good morning. I thought I had a little sort of icon on my screen when you first came up, and it sort of obscured the middle of the screen. It looked like you were wearing a cloak.
Well, like from Victorian times.
Oh no, because it's red. I thought you might be dressed as Superman for some reason,
or Santa. Yeah, one of the two. Yeah, whatever person is synonymous.
It wouldn't be Santa. It's the wrong time of year for Santa.
Yeah,
but it's always the right time of year for Superman.
I suppose it is. I was just trying to think of anyone that's synonymous with wearing red. Little Red Riding Hood, I suppose.
Chris de Burgh's The Lady in Red. You look a bit like her.
Do I? Yeah. You can serenade me then, but I don't look singing a bit of Chris de Burgh.
I don't like that song.
No, nor do I. It's horrible. It's awful.
We've spoken about Chris de Burgh before, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. I can't remember in which context, but I think that's enough now. We should never mention him again.
Well, when we started this all those years ago, if I'd said to you, we'll talk about Chris de Burgh multiple times, I'd lost my marbles, wouldn't you?
I'd have never signed up for the idea, that's for sure. It would have been dead in the water day one. But anyway, what we're talking about this week, I think you exerted a bit of this morning by keep changing the start times, because I want to talk about controlling behaviour. I think you're trying to make me a subordinate to your whims.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I suppose, yes, I did have to keep changing things, but then I guess it would have been more controlling if it had been for any sort of nefarious reasons rather than the fact that I just didn't get myself together quickly enough this morning, and then my laptop decided it wanted to do an update.
Yeah, and annoying when that happens.
I'm gaslighting my laptop.
You are, or it's gaslighting you, one of the two. I'm not quite sure which way around it is. But
well, it's me, isn't it? Because I'm blaming my laptop.
You are blaming lateness. It,
yeah.
I'll touch on that later on, actually. Not with laptops, but controlling behaviour is the title of my notes.
Excellent.
Yeah, and it was another one of your ideas that you come up with recently.
I bet this is a popular one in group.
It comes up all the times in groups. Now, I'm surprised we haven't looked at it before, to be honest. But
well, it's because it's quite complicated, isn't it? Really,
it is complex, and I'm hoping you can weigh in with some bits on this one.
I'm going to try and keep it. Well, we should try and keep it reasonably top level, I think.
I don't know what that means, but we'll do our best, whatever. It's another one of the reasons that why drink and drugs can seem so attractive sometimes when people try to escape the trauma of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, drink and drugs, as you say, might be used as a way of escaping from the stress and anxiety of being exposed to someone who is controlling.
Yeah.
But I suspect it's also a strategy used for people who are controlling and can't seem to escape from their own controlling behaviour.
Yes, that happens all the time. And it comes up because obviously the partner often would like someone to continue not being in sobriety. I don't like it they go into sobriety because they suddenly start to lack control over someone. So it's a multifaceted thing. It really is. But before we start,
there
was a headline I saw that I quite enjoyed. In fact, the headline was better than the actual story. But it was
clickbait. Then
it was really. It was because the headline was Brexit stopped rhinos from mating. And I thought that's a bit weird. How's Brexit going to be stopping rhinos from mating? And as it turned out, it's just that it's now with all the red tape involved, it's more difficult to engage in breeding programs across Europe. So,
I wonder if Brexit has stopped other people mating.
I don't know, but I think it
has, isn't it?
I think it probably has. Yeah, there's less of that going across borders, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure
less cross-border fornication.
there is. Yeah, that's
CBF, as we call it.
Yeah, they do it high level, cabinet level. They call it that, don't they?
That's right. Has anyone got the CBF figures this week?
I'm pretty sure that most of the rhinos voted Remain. So, so they must be a bit disappointed, mustn't they?
I think, and most rhinos would think, crikey, we're not even from this part of the world.
Yeah.
How come we're getting caught up in this and we're having less sex? It's just a disgrace.
There's loads of moody rhinos flying about, isn't there?
And that is the last thing you want.
Moody rhinos. They do look a bit grumpy at the zoos if you go and see them. So I can understand why now. Brexit.
Isn't that a strip club, Moody Rhinos?
Moody rhinos. It sounds like it should be, shouldn't it?
Oh, it's peppermint rhinos, isn't it? No, hang on. What is it?
Peppermint.
No, isn't there a... Hang on, there's something rhino, isn't there?
Is there?
That's a strip club, I'm sure it is. It's quite a famous thingy.
You know better than I, perhaps. But
no, I've never been in one, but I've got to check it out now. Anyway, you carry on.
Yeah. Well, there's another thing just before we start as well. Because remember we had an email, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, it's spearmint rhino.
Spearmint rhino. Okay. What did you call it? Peppermint rhino.
Peppermint.
Yes,
I could have gone after 8 rhino, couldn't I?
It's just the sister clubs, aren't they? It's around the corner, owned by the same bloke.
Double mint rhino. Anyway, sorry.
Yes. We had an email a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, from Julian? He
was doing his bathroom.
I want to know how he's getting on.
Well, okay. So you'll have to write back to us and let us know. What, you want some photos, do you?
I'd like some photos. I just want to see how he's progressing. It always interests me, obviously, interior decorating. So I'd like to see.
Do you want to have a look at my bathroom?
Not really. Does it need decorating?
Does it need decorating, did you say?
Yeah.
I think most of my house needs decorating.
Probably
really.
does, mate. Yeah.
Anyway,
the definition of controlling behaviour. There's a little phrase.
Yeah.
A little bit long-winded, but I just want to read it out if I can.
Yeah.
And it goes like this: controlling behaviour is a range of acts designed to make a person subordinate and/or dependent by isolating them from sources of support, exploiting their resources and capacities for personal gain, depriving them of the means needed for independence, resistance, and escape, and regulating their everyday behaviour. And there's quite a lot in there.
That's snappy, isn't it?
Yeah, not really. Not much of a strap.
Right, so I'd just like to add something there. I mean, not add something to that, that description, because there's room. But the description there of controlling behaviour is a description, I would say, is a description of controlling behaviour when it has become abusive. And I think it's important to recognise that controlling behaviour in and of itself is not necessarily abusive.
No,
so
absolutely right.
For example, I might be controlling to the extent that I need everything to happen the way that I want it to happen because I feel anxious or worried or whatever. I might be struggling with stuff. And that might be really irritating and frustrating and annoying for the people around me. But that doesn't make it abusive. It becomes abusive when I start to behave in such a way when you feel threatened or intimidated or shamed or ridiculed or unsafe in some way. So I think that is an important distinction to make.
And it is because I came across other definitions or terms that are being used for controlling behaviour. One of them was coercive control.
Yeah,
which is
abusive.
Which is abusive. And the other one I came across, which I thought was a bit strong, but it may well be right. They call it intimate terrorism. Which I thought was
I've not heard that expression.
Nor have I.
Yeah,
I quite liked it. But we need to when we look at this, what does it look like in reality? Because you're right, there is a difference, and it's almost on a scale. But what it looks like in reality, and sometimes we need to just look at the ways to identify the issue, because I think it can creep up sometimes, can't it? And it can build.
It can certainly build. Yeah.
So I was looking at ways of looking at if this is applying to you, then you may well be in a relationship where there's a controlling behaviour going on.
Yeah.
When I looked at this, there's hundreds of different things on there that could lead to that. So I've picked out just a few really. Keeping you away from family, friends, and other supportive people, or making you feel guilty when you spend time with your loved ones. Now, I've heard that come up quite a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that is classic.
Yeah,
It kind of goes. We did an episode on gaslighting, didn't we?
we did, and that does come up in my list.
Yeah, because if you one of the benefits, I use that word in inverted commas, of isolating someone is it becomes easier to gaslight them.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, an outside voice of reason who can perhaps or look at it from a different perspective, or can identify it for you. Yeah, absolutely. Right.
And that's why people who are in a controlling relationship, say, where it is abusive, that's why quite often they can come to kind of blame themselves. They'll say, well, I don't know, I can't understand why I didn't see this. Well, part of the reason you didn't see it is because you were kind of cut off from anybody who might have been able to tell you that there was something destructive and abusive going on.
And another one that does come up, and I've heard this quite often, is where someone puts financial, social, and emotional barriers in the way to makes it hard to get out of the relationship. Mm-hmm. So that's part of that isolating behaviour again, where they're sort of starting to build a little bit of a moat around you.
Yeah.
And they sort of also, whilst you're in there, when it can start to turn a bit nasty, when they make you fear for your safety or the safety of your loved ones or other people you know, which it starts to get a bit more sinister, doesn't it, at that point? Mm-hmm. Other things that came up was where, and I know this happened to someone that I knew quite well, where the other person created a debt that they're beholden to. So they take out a loan in their name, effectively.
Wow.
Which, again, it's all part of the financial control. But what often comes up also is that that their partner is incredibly paranoid and overly jealous. There's I suppose a little bit of jealousy is okay if you're protective towards someone. But when it becomes overly jealous and paranoid, then you've got problems brewing.
Yeah, and that's one of the kind of ways in which it can be it creates such a difficult situation, because if someone is very paranoid and possessive, it becomes almost, in some respects, easier for them to convince you that you're the problem.
Yes.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you upsetting me like this?
Yeah.
Why do you have to go out? Why, it's like you're making your own insecurity about somebody else. You're kind of projecting your own insecurity onto someone else and making it their fault. And, if it's your partner, if it's someone that you've had a long-term relationship with, that can be quite compelling, even though it is fundamentally abusive and controlling.
But I think I think you hit on the point there, which is important perhaps to interject at this point, that it's the behaviour of the other person, the controlling person, is often born out of some sort of issue themselves, often anxiety, isn't it?
If you're controlling, if you feel the need to be controlling in any of your relationships, it doesn't have to just be an intimate relationship.
No, quite.
And fundamentally, that says something about your degree of self-worth.
Yes.
That says self-doubt, doesn't it?
Why
do you need to be in control if you don't fear your own security and safety and position in the world? Why would you ever need to control anybody else's?
Absolutely right. And I think when I was doing the research, I thought, I hadn't really thought about it from the other person's point of view, but there's never justification for it, but there's some reasoning behind it as to why it started. I mean, it's a horrible trait for someone, especially the recipient of the controlling behaviour and abuse. It's awful. And what came up also was, where the person would stalk them or keep a close eye on where they go and who you see and who you talk with.
Yeah.
Monitor phone calls. I stand quite close to someone when they're on the phone and that sort of thing. Would constantly check their messages and texts, etc.
Yeah.
And embarrassing.
That's the thing, because some of these things that you're talking about, which kind of probably to someone who's never experienced it sound as, obviously they are awful, but they would sound so awful as to becomes incredulous that anybody could not notice this. But you'd be surprised, and you will have seen this in people you've come into contact with in recovery. But the number of people I've worked with over the years who will say quite matter of fact, I always let my partner look at my phone. I'm thinking, why?
Yeah.
That's not, there's something, I mean, I'm not suggesting that in itself is an indication of controlling or coercive controlling behaviour, but it's an example of the way in which we become so kind of desensitized to things that it just becomes our normality. So, for instance, if your partner is controlling all the finances, that just becomes a normality. It doesn't make it okay.
Yeah, no,
doesn't mean that it's healthy, but it is what you know, and therefore you're more likely to kind of either turn a blind eye or just consider it completely okay. And then when someone does say, well, that's a bit weird, isn't it? You might be kind of defensive of it.
Yeah.
That's fine. So, that's why when you kind of get into these patterns, it becomes very, very difficult to break out of them sometimes.
Yeah. And that's why people just learn to live with it now rather than confront it. Or they keep the peace.
Exactly.
And let it go. Which comes up also in the next point where the perpetrator will embarrass you and criticize you all the time, particularly in public, in front of people, to belittle you and to exert control in that way.
If you think about the impact that has on someone, if you, I'm not suggesting that the only people who ever end up controlled in a relationship are people that have low sense of self-worth, but it's obviously easier to do that to someone who doubts themselves.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're in a situation where you're constantly being belittled and shamed and embarrassed in front of people, it takes a lot of courage to stand up against that and to push back against it. It's much more likely that it will press you further down and you'll become even less sure of yourself. So all of these things kind of conspire to create almost a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it does. And I think that, when people trying to sort of loosen the shackles slightly and perhaps try and have a little bit of alone time, that gets disrespected straight away and clamped down upon. Because again, I've heard that happen.
Yeah.
Try and put a boundary in place and it gets knocked back. And
then when you think about the impact that, or the role that, say, drink and drugs would play.
Yeah.
If part of your response to being in that sort of highly stressful situation is to turn to drink, then that leads you to further shame.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is quite likely to make you even less able to kind of stand up against it and fight for your, rights as an individual human being.
Well, you're right. And you've sort of covered the last 2 points I had, really, in what you've been saying. One was gaslighting.
Yeah.
And where, obviously when you start to question your own beliefs. And the other one was pressuring you towards unhealthy behaviours.
Yeah.
In brackets, I put there, like substance abuse. And that's, we said right at the top of the episode here that they can drink and drugs can become quite attractive because at that point, there's a lot of opinion on, how addiction starts, but one of them is a trauma response. Mm-hmm. And I see that all the time. And this is very traumatic. We're being involved in a relationship where the other person is controlling.
Yeah.
And so the escape via substances can look like a way of alleviating the issues. It'll only be short term because it will perpetuate, as you say, into that horrible cycle where addiction then takes over and it makes it even harder for you to make rational decisions about how you're going to deal with this situation.
Yeah, one of the other ways in which it makes it worse is that if you're out of your head, off your head on drink or drugs, then it's easier for your controlling partner to tell you stuff that isn't true.
Absolutely right.
When you were drunk, you did that. You remember you said that? No, I didn't say that. No, you did. You were drunk.
Absolutely right. And that I remember that coming up in groups where someone who had a partner that was very controlling towards her. And I think I mentioned it before, perhaps, when her phones kept going missing, and he would say to her, "Yes, you did, drunk," and you misplaced it, and it turned out he had a whole collection of them that he was taking away on purpose, and that's where it can go. Also, it was coming up in the research, with controlling behaviour, even if your partner isn't physically violent towards you, it can fill you with the fear that that's going to happen, and the terror and the trauma can last long after the relationship ends as well.
Definitely,
it's going to be part of your baggage going forward, isn't it? Unless it's dealt with.
Definitely, the promise of violence, or the fear of what might happen if you stand up against it, or God forbid, leave, is quite often what keeps someone in a controlling relationship.
So how do we deal with a controlling person? Because it's quite tricky to find any positive or to real advice on this, other than walk away or to get the hell out. But that's too simple. That's too simplified, isn't it?
Well, it's certainly, in some respects. I mean, for instance, we've been talking essentially about intimate relationships here, but it's quite, you can have a controlling parent.
True.
That happens often. I mean, we can't because we haven't got any parents anymore. But
no.
You can have a controlling relationship with a parent or friends, or siblings or work colleagues. So it's not just intimate partners. So the idea that you can always walk away, you can't. Well, you could, but it becomes kind of harder in certain situations. So, for instance, if you've got a partner, you have children with them, that becomes more difficult.
True.
I think the thing to think about with controlling behaviour is you can't change it. You won't change it in someone. So your fundamental approach has to be one of personal safety. So I would say, whatever your situation, the first thing you've got to think about is keeping yourself safe. And then from that, you know, there are a number of things. Have you got a list of things that you can do here?
Yeah, I have.
I'll let you go through yours then.
Well, it's not extensive because it was difficult to find anything particularly. So I'm sure you'll be able to build on what I was going to say here. But the first point to come up was to avoid reacting to bad behaviour. Controlling people are often looking for a reaction, and without a reaction, it's probably going to help quell their way forward.
Yeah, that's very difficult, but it's absolutely spot on, because even if you're not in a controlling situation with someone, think about an argument. If someone says something to you that is unreasonable, as soon as you go back, you are heightening the likelihood that you will say something they can actually hold on to. Yeah. So if someone is abusive or rude to you or unkind, there's something and this kind of rises up and we think, oh, that's not fair. And you might snap back with something similarly ill thought through. And then regardless of what their first comment was, now you have given them something to hang on to. So that's why when someone is controlling, if you can, it's much better not to engage. Don't argue. Don't try and debate it, because, you know, in some respects, it's what they want.
Exactly right. That was the next point, really. We're leading on from, avoid reacting. It was, refuse to argue, because controlling people, they're often excited, aren't they, by the power struggle, and that's what really lights them up. Yeah. And then all the other tools that they have in their box there start to come through to the fore. And I'm sort of using the male and female stereotyping here, because it can happen the other way around, of course.
It can happen the other way around. I think statistically it is more likely to be male on female. Yes. Yeah. But it does certainly, men are in controlling relationships as well. So, this is not the preserve of, we're not saying there are only female victims.
No.
But yeah, I think not arguing and maintaining your composure are pretty critical, because as you say, if you've been in a controlling relationship with someone for any length of time, they'll know the buttons to press. Yeah. So as soon as you start to tussle for control, it's going to be pretty tough for you to win that fight. Yeah. Because that's what they're set up for. They're geared up for saying things and maintaining control over that situation. So, the cards are stacked in their favour.
It is, but maintaining composure, as you say, is quite tricky. But I think that can be learnt, can't it? You can get into the habit of doing that, as you can get into the habit of not arguing or not engaging, I think, or reacting.
Yeah, I know I'm kind of stressing the point again, but that maintaining composure becomes much, much harder if you do feel as if you're under some sort of physical threat. Yeah.
Of course.
Or if you feel your children at risk, or someone else in your family or whatever. So when we say maintain composure, sometimes that's very, very difficult. But as far as possible, if you can, don't engage. Because if you don't engage with someone who's being unreasonable, they can only listen to their own words. Yeah. As I say, I know it's very difficult, but it is the best way to go if you can.
It is tough, as is the next item that came on the list, was expressing your boundaries directly. Setting boundaries and making it clear. But again, that's quite tough if you're in an intimidating atmosphere or in a relationship.
Yep. Much harder if you feel intimidated, but maintaining boundaries, we've spoken about this before. There are two parts to boundaries. One is the establishing of them. So you've got to make sure you're clear with whoever it is that's controlling you where your line is. Yeah. But the thing about people who are controlling is they don't observe boundaries. They don't respect them. Right. So even when you've established your boundary, it's almost certain they're going to step over it. Yeah. You also have to be willing to police it.
So, being assertive came up as well, which because it said they are unlikely to accept boundaries right away. So you sort of covered that point. You've virtually seen my notes, and you're doing me one step ahead. It's like that Two Ronnies sketch where the answer given before the question. It's a little bit like that right now.
Well, I think it's because those 2 points are so connected.
They are.
You've got to establish your boundaries, and then you need to be assertive in order to protect them. I'll tell you the other area where this is not easy, but it's perhaps you feel less physical threat, and that is in a parental relationship.
Yeah.
Many people, I've worked with many people over the years who have a controlling parent.
Yes.
It is often the mother.
Yeah.
I have to say, not always. No,
that has come up. That has come up fairly recently.
Right. And so that becomes difficult to stand up against for a different reason. It's because there can be, and I've felt this with my mother. There is a fear that if you stand up to the degree that you do what you want rather than what she wants, that somehow you'll lose that love. And although for those people listening who have very good relationships with their mothers, they might think, well, you're never going to do that, are you? It does feel as if you might.
Yeah.
And so although you're not fearing any physical consequence most of the time, you are fearing a loss of that love that feels like oxygen to you. Well, what am I going to do if my mother doesn't approve of me? But what people find so often is when they can create a healthy boundary with a parent, actually that parental relationship changes for the better over time. It might be short, it might be difficult in the short term, but there's nothing to be gained from just being a sort of a doormat for somebody else, whether it's your mother or anybody else.
No, that's absolutely right. And when you throw someone with substance abuse issues into the equation, and then their parents are using, we've had that come up quite a lot as well. They'll use that as or in any relationship, a stick to beat them with and say, this is, especially with parents saying, I've done all I can for you and this is the way you treat me. And that's in fact, I was watching a film called 4 Good Days. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on Netflix at the moment. No. That explores the relationship between a mum and a heroin addict's daughter, trying to get her into rehab, etc. It's quite an uncomfortable film to watch from an addict's point of view, but there's a lot of good points come out of it, and it's although it doesn't wrap it up particularly well. I think it's quite a good film to watch if you want to make yourself feel a bit morose. If you want to go on a bit of a downer,
if you want to be miserable,
have a look at that. But no, it's a great film.
There's something you said there which I think is important to bear in mind, and that is, quite often. This is another kind of form of control. Quite often, in that sort of situation, if you've got a problem with drink or drugs, and a parent says to you, I've done so much for you, this is worrying me into an early grave, or what you're trying to do to me. It's like they're making your difficulty about them.
Right. Yes.
Controlling. Yeah. It's like, no, this is not about you.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I have to say that in my experience, the parental controlling relationships are the ones where that really happens a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you doing to me? Why are you doing this to me? This isn't about you. This is about the struggle I've got. And if you can't see that we're kind of separate, then we're always going to have a problem in that kind of relationship. So what I'm saying is that finding a way of creating that separation and making clear that separation to another person in the long term might improve that relationship. And if it doesn't, well, I'd argue you haven't really lost much anyway.
Yeah, which is a good point. It is a good point. And another point that came up on the list here was, again, you sort of touched on it. Well, it says remind yourself that it's not personal, because they usually have something going on under the surface. So they've got issues themselves, and it's their issues that they are then projecting onto you.
This comes back to something we were talking about last week, which is occasionally there are things that you would say about situations which are true theoretically, but they're impossible to feel.
Yeah.
So whilst that is true, someone who is controlling, it's their issue actually. There's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
When you're on the receiving end of it, it's impossible to feel like that, I think. So yes, you can acknowledge it intellectually, but whether it make much difference to you emotionally, I doubt it, unless you're really super strong. I think probably that sort of stuff, that sort of realization probably comes into its own later on. When you have detached yourself from the relationship, or when the relationship is changing in some respect, I think then it kind of might help to cement your recovery from that relationship by reminding yourself, this isn't me. This wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. There was nothing wrong with me. it's something that someone else is struggling with.
Yeah, you're right. You're sort of rationalising the situation at that stage, aren't you? But you're doing it with the benefit of a bit of distance between yourself and the issues that were happening at the time.
Exactly that.
I agree. And that's it, really, apart from, limiting the interactions, which is a little bit like ignoring them.
Limiting them by getting away from a relationship sometimes is the best route.
Limiting the interactions or walk away, it says here, if necessary. So there is a line in which you say, that's it. I've got to leave this relationship behind.
I would say that if you find yourself in that situation, if you don't feel like you can do any of those things, the two things always to bear in mind are keep yourself safe, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
And seek help.
Yes.
Because just keeping yourself safe won't get you out of the situation, but you do need to find a kind of way of seeking help. And actually, there's a program for people in abusive relationships called the Freedom Program, which you can find online. I'll put a link on the episode when we put it up, which is an online program for people who are victims of domestic abuse. So this isn't really for the other relationships that we've been talking about in terms of control. But if you do find yourself in an intimate relationship where you're feeling where some of these things are kind of raising red flags for you, then it's kind of worth seeking out because it's really good. And I've known a lot of people go through that and it's been really helpful for them.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's a good tip. A very useful thing to do because, and it's surprising. I came across people that deal with or giving advice to people that are doing the controlling as well to try and get them.
Well, I think I'm right in saying, I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure the Freedom Program does also welcome in people who have trouble controlling themselves and want to address it, which is great.
It is great. I mean, I imagine it's quite difficult for someone to come to terms with the fact that they are doing that, especially if they've got narcissistic tendencies as well, because they won't seek help. But if narcissism isn't involved, then perhaps they would like to take the opportunity to make themselves a better person.
Yeah, I mean, that's a point worth making as well, that quite often, not always by any means, but quite often controlling behaviour is synonymous with a personality disorder.
Yeah.
Could be narcissistic personality disorder, could be borderline personality disorder, a number of others. So again, if someone is controlling because they've got a personality disorder, you're not going to change that.
No.
They're only going to change that by seeking help themselves.
Yeah.
And you're right, if someone's got narcissistic personality disorder, they're unlikely to seek help because they probably won't think that they're the problem.
Yeah, well, quite. But I've found the people that have been involved in these relationships have managed to extricate themselves from them. They've done it by reaching out and seeking help and advice. There's lots of either going via refuges or again with online support or support from friends and family who can help them out. And I think when they do eventually make the break, they're very grateful. So on your gratitude list this week, it is your turn to go first if you wanted to.
Yeah, on my gratitude list this week is online shopping.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, I suppose I've never really thought about it as being grateful for it, but I suppose we should be.
Well, online shopping sometimes I think gets a bad rap because for lots of reasons,
death of the high street.
We death of the high street, spend too much money, la-di-da-di-da.
Yeah.
But there are certain situations. So specifically, I put online shopping on this week because I just bought an apple tree, right, for the garden.
Did you? Okay.
In times gone past, before online shopping, that would have required a trip out to the garden centre, which is there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But you would then be restricted by the limited range of apple trees they had in stock.
Yeah.
And then when you think about the size that you need as well, it might reduce your choice even further. Whereas if you buy something like an apple tree online, there are hundreds to choose from, different sorts of rootstocks. So you can essentially get specifically whatever you want delivered to your door. And I think, that's the absolute upside of online shopping.
That makes sense. I mean, can I ask which particular apple brand you've bought? Do they call them brands? Varieties.
Varieties, I think they call them. It's called Green Sleeves.
Is it? Like the Henry VIII written tune?
Yeah. Well, I think it was originally created, if that's probably not the right, propagated, I don't know.
Probably
That's
the right
the
word.
East Malling Research Station.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I
just
think
round
they
the corner.
say that when you buy an apple, if you can get a local one, that's quite good. I don't know why it's good, but so that's what I've got. So I expect I'll kill it like I kill most things in the garden. But
Well, nurture it. Try.
I do nurture stuff, but it still dies.
Try your level best. Have you tried a green sleeves apple? You might be growing something which was really disgusting when you pick the fruit.
I haven't tried a green sleeves apple, but I don't think I'll be disappointed. It's as long as an apple's crunchy, I'm going to be all right with it. What I can't stand is a sort of when they go a bit soft and foamy. I can't be doing with that at all. But even if they were like that, which they won't be, I'd just cook with them.
No, I took one because I take some fruit to work with me.
Yeah.
And I'd left an apple in my bag for a couple of days where I hadn't eaten it. So I went to eat it, and I was really hungry. I thought, apple would just right. But I had to only eat half it because the other half had started to go mouldy. And
I draw the line at a mouldy apple.
I was biting as close to it, and I thought, this is probably going to turn to cider and I'll get wrecked in a minute.
You probably have to leave it a bit longer to make
You probably would.
So what you got then?
I've got Gorilla Glue on my list. The only reason is because the sole came off of my trainer, and I was able to glue it back on and continue to wear it to go to work with. So I was happy. I was pleased to have some. I was grateful that I had it at home and I could deal with it straight away. Yeah,
no, I like Gorilla Glue. I'm a big fan of Gorilla Glue, and it's the only glue that I found of that sort of super strong type.
Yeah.
That they've managed to find a way of the top not gluing itself onto the tube when you use it. Because all the others you can use them once, and then the next time you go to use it, about 2 months later, you can't get the top off anymore.
No, you're right. Because I did try previously with my trainer, because often my shoes wear out quite quickly at work. I'd previously tried to use some no-nails on my trainer to stick the sole back on, but that's inflexible, just cracks and just fell off again. But again, the no-nails, if you don't use it very often, because it's in a tube in a gun, you have to replace the nozzle because that all cakes up.
Was the trainers that you repaired, do they have a yoga mat inner sole?
Do you know what? They're a really old pair. In fact, I had them over. I had them so long. When the sole came off, there was a date underneath them that was printed on it, which was the year 2000.
Wow.
So, I know. So all those years they've been kicking around in the back of my cupboard, and I'd worn them a few times. Didn't particularly like them at the time, obviously, but they're ideal for going to work where they're going to get all painty and knackered. But 2000, so 20 odd years those trainers have been
23-year-old trainers fixed with Gorilla Glue.
I've been trying to patch them up. They're probably due for the dump quite soon.
You should go on the repair shop.
Well, Nike train. No, Nike. No,
Martin's brought in a pair of old trainers.
I can see old Jay Blade taking his cap, doffing his cap towards that.
All right, mine. I'm just going to get the Gorilla Glue out here. You don't have to come back in 2 weeks. You just hang around. I'll do it for you now.
Do it for you now, mate. Yeah, you stand over there.
Very good.
Anyway, days of the year. Now, this has been on the television as well. Even though I'd written my notes, it suddenly came up on the television yesterday, I think it was.
Right.
Today is National Yorkshire Pudding Day.
Excellent.
Yeah, which I think everyone loves a Yorkshire pudding, don't they?
Yeah, I love a Yorkshire pudding, but I do not hold with the habit that a lot of people have of having them with their Christmas dinner.
Do you not? Do you not think
wrong,
it suits?
You have Yorkshire pudding with roast beef, or if you're a vegetarian, that's fine. You can have your Yorkshire puddings with whatever. Yeah. But you can't be having Yorkshire puddings with roast chicken and lamb and pork. That's wrong.
It's wrong in your eyes, but I think a lot of people will eat it whichever the meat is, because if you only limit it just when you have beef, you're not going to have the joys of a Yorkshire pudding.
Well, that's your own fault.
It's your own fault, is it? For not having standards.
I feel like it's necessary for me to be controlling in this regard.
You wouldn't invite someone round and put a Yorkshire pudding on their plate.
If you don't eat beef very often, which is absolutely fine, I've got no problem with that at all. Have a toad in the hole with vegetarian sausage.
Yeah. Which has obviously got the Yorkshire pudding around the outside. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. If you're going to have Yorkshire pudding, you need to have Yorkshire pudding in some sort of traditional sense. You can't be going willy-nilly, putting it on any I mean, next thing you know, people will be having fish fingers and bloody Yorkshire puddings. Wrong, isn't it?
I can see you're getting quite angry with people's cavalier attitudes towards Yorkshire puddings.
I am. It's like having strawberries in February. It's not right.
Oh, right, okay.
Right. We should be eating seasonally and traditionally, in my mind.
Yeah, no. Well, that's quite a strident point of view, and I'm sure it's very valid. Yeah. But the first recipe for Yorkshire pudding, since you asked,
yeah,
you did ask, didn't you? You wondered when the first recipe came around. It was actually in 1737, and they called it dripping pudding at that point.
Yeah, because they roast the meat above the pudding, and then the dripping from the meat drips onto the pudding beneath.
Yeah. So I mean, I've never cooked a Yorkshire pudding myself. But
you've never cooked a Yorkshire pudding?
No, I haven't. No.
Well,
you just go and get those Aunt Bessie ones, don't you? And away you go. Job done.
That's it.
Let's close that conversation.
I'm not often speechless, but that's ridiculous.
It's just one of those.
Have you ever made pancakes?
Yeah.
Well, you've essentially made Yorkshire puddings then. You just haven't cooked them in the Yorkshire pudding manner.
Yeah, I've made pancakes. We used to make pancakes with the kids as well. But I'm very rarely near the cooker or the oven, as you know. So that's not going to happen. But a couple of other days of the year. Yeah. One of them is very relevant. It was called Dump Your Significant Jerk Day. So
Dump your significant jerk?
Yeah. So if you've got a significant jerk in your life, bing them out today. Today's the day to get rid of them.
Have you got a significant jerk in your life?
I haven't, no. I've got no pinging to do.
Perhaps we've got to the stage in life now where we've dumped all of our significant jerks.
That's it, or we've been dumped.
That's true. Yeah, that's probably more like. Yeah, that's probably more like jerk. It, isn't it?
But the other day was National Weather Person's Day.
Oh.
And when I was writing that down, I'd started to write National Weatherspoons Day, and that wouldn't be right for a recovering alcoholic, would it? I
think people who go in Wetherspoons, every day is a National Wetherspoons Day, isn't it?
Yeah, but Weather Person's Day. Have you got a favourite? You got a favourite?
I'm going to go with John Ketley.
John Ketley.
John Ketley is a weatherman,
and he was in the. Was it Half Man, Half Biscuit?
Half Man, Half Biscuit. John Ketley is a weatherman, so is Michael Fish.
So they've been immortalised by the great Half Man, Half Biscuit band, which I still have a little listen to them from time to time.
There you go. I think I'd go for Ketley anyway. I can't go for Fish because he made such a mess of the hurricane warning in 1987.
You hold a grudge for a long time, boy.
Well, if you're a weatherman, you got one job. And he said, don't worry, there isn't going to be a hurricane. Next morning, everyone's roofs had come off their houses.
The gable ends had been blown.
As far as I'm concerned, he lost it at that point.
He did lose it.
Yeah.
So my favourite is Carol Kirkwood. I think she's got a nice, soft little Scottish lilt, a nice delivery. Looks kind. She looks like a kind person.
I expect she is kind, but are you suggesting John Ketley isn't?
He didn't look kind. No, not particularly. No.
I think he looked all right. Is he still alive, John?
I don't know. It was a long time ago. It was during the 80s. He was on the TV. So,
well, yeah, but we were around during the 80s, and we're still alive.
Well, that's true. But I got a feeling he was older than us.
Okay, I'll tell you. No, he's still alive. How old do you reckon he is?
76.
He's 70.
Is he? Oh, he's not quite as old as I thought then.
No. Right. What about Michael Fish? Is he still alive?
Didn't he die?
I've got a feeling he died.
I've got a feeling he died.
Let's have a look. He's not dead. How old is he?
I don't know. I'd have said he's a bit older, so I'll go for 76, 77.
78. Very good.
78.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's weathermen done then.
It is weathermen done. I suppose the fitting end for him would be a gable end would fall on him, wouldn't it? Blown out by a hurricane.
Or he'd get whisked away in a tornado.
He would, like the what's that film
Wizard
called?
of Oz.
Wizard of Oz, yeah.
Yeah. Or Twister.
End up in Kansas or whatever. Right, okay, on this day in music.
Yeah.
I don't want to drag this out too long. 1972, T-Rex were number one with Telegram Sam in the UK from Slider. The reason I mention that is because Slider was the first LP that I ever bought myself.
Was it?
Yeah, so I thought, I'm just going to throw that in. So it was 1972, and I bought it on my mum's K's catalogue where you could pay weekly.
Yeah.
So I think it was £1 a week or something like that.
Nice.
for a little
Was it
while.
worth it?
Oh, it's a fabulous album. It's still crisp to this day.
Have you still got it?
Yes, I have.
Is it in the correct sleeve?
Of course, and in order. Yeah, with the other T-Rex albums that I had, I was a bit of a big T-Rex fan at the time. Yeah, so I collected a few of their albums. Yeah.
Do you like any other dinosaurs?
Any other dinosaurs? Musical dinosaurs?
Well, no, just other than the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Not really. No, that's my favourite, the T-Rex. It's always head and shoulders above your Brontosaurus, wasn't it? Your Trachiosaurus, whatever they call it. They changed the names as well, haven't they, these days?
Pterodactyl, that's quite nice, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, Pterodactyl and the dinosaurs. Yeah. That was a group, wasn't it?
Was it?
Pterodactyl, yeah. Very clever use of words.
I didn't know that. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it rings a bell now. Yeah.
2004, you might remember this, Janet Jackson had a wardrobe malfunction on stage.
I do. That wasn't it at the Super Bowl?
Yeah, so I think Justin Timberlake had a... I'm trying to say this discreetly without...
Had to put his hands over her breast.
We can say it, can't we? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can say breast, can't we? I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Apparently that became the most sought after internet search after that. Or that image.
No, get out. Did it?
Yeah, it became massive. Yeah, the internet went a bit crazy, people searching for that particular image. I know, a bit bizarre.
Yeah, honestly, you want to get out more, don't you?
And in 2016, this is the last one, a new species of black tarantula was found near Folsom Prison in California and named after Johnny Cash. Now, I don't know. I don't think any of us have ever had. I'm just trying to think. I don't think I've ever had a tarantula named after me. Have you?
Not that I'm aware of. No. Have you ever had anything named after you?
No. People get roses named after. Bobby Charlton had a rose named after her, I remember.
If you had something named after you, what do you think it'd be?
I don't know. I'd like to think it wouldn't be an alcoholic drink. Let's put it that way.
I was going to say a gin.
Gin or vodka. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know if I can pronounce this, but the name of the black tarantula was the Aphanapelma Johnny Cash-eye.
Nice. That trips off the tongue.
It's not snappy at all again, but it was, I think it was because Folsom Prison, I think he did a gig there, didn't he?
I wonder how Johnny Cash would have felt about having a tarantula named after him. Do you think he'd have been all right with that?
Oh, yeah, he would have been. He was a bit of a rebel anyway, wasn't he? I mean, playing in these different prisons. He recorded a couple of albums, of live ones in prisons, didn't he?
Yeah. I think if I had to have an animal named after me, I'd want it to be an elephant.
An elephant, yeah. I can see that. Mm. Yeah. Or I think a giraffe I'd be.
I thought you were going to say gerbil.
A gerbil, yeah. Don't last very long.
All right.
That's about it for me, mate.
Good. That's enough, isn't it?
It is more than enough.
That's it. We're done.
Okay. Bye then.
See you next time.
Bye.
Laters. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.